Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Shelly and I'm so glad you guys are here. I'm looking a little bit like a wreck right now. I didn't sleep very well, and if you ladies of a certain age know what I'm talking about, it's getting tough. It's getting tough. So I actually had some pretty good sized baggage under my eyes and I put on a little bit of this and I think they're better. It's still dark, but we're gonna fix it a little bit. This is the Peter Thomas Roth Instant Firm Eye Temporary Eye Tightener. This went a little viral and it had some mixed reviews. Some people were saying, oh, you can't put makeup on it, so we're gonna try that. Other people said, oh, it worked great, but you can't put anything on it. Well, I need something because I am very, very dark under my eyes. So we're gonna play with some new makeup, new-ish makeup. So I've got some things I've been playing around with, some that are new to the collection that I've only used once or twice, and then I have a brand new palette that I want to use. I have a blush palette that I've used a couple times but haven't in a while, so I figured we would just kind of get together and put on makeup and do what I do. What do you think of the background? There's actually a plant back there and a candle you can see. One of my new cases. And then I've moved my bookshelf of palettes, you know, over here to the side. So it looks a little cramped, I think. I don't know, you have to tell me. I'm not sure if I like the, what do you call shiplap that's not sideways, that's just paneling, the painted paneling behind me. I'm just not sure how I feel about it yet. I'm going to use two different concealers, one on each eye, because I kind of want to test them out here. The first one is one from Charlotte Tilbury. This is the Beautiful Skin Radiant Concealer. So I'm going to use this on this side over here, and I'm just going to do a little bit to kind of hopefully help the situation a little bit. And on the other side, I've got an Hourglass concealer that I picked up recently too. So this is kind of like one of those ways to test these out and see if, a little sun damage right there, so I'm going to put that there too. See if these are comparable or if one is better than the other. I'm going to use like a concealer brush, and then I'll flip it over and use the other side on the other one. That way we've got the most consistent application process, I guess, what you say. Oh gosh, you guys. So I've been trying to get things cleaned up here quite a bit, and I feel like I'm making progress. Okay, I'm flipping the brush over and we're gonna pat in this side as well. So I've been feeling for a couple months now that I need to get things under control. And unfortunately, because I travel for work, it takes a little bit for me to actually make progress on things because I can't do it when I'm not home, right? When I wasn't with my husband's band this weekend, I spent some time trying to organize a little bit, and I'm making progress. Okay, so big difference in tone-wise on both of these. The Hourglass one is in shade Cedar. It's not telling me anything other than Cedar. And the Charlotte is in 8 medium. I definitely like the tone of 8 medium better. It's also a thinner product, meaning it seems more like skin on my skin as opposed to on the Hourglass side. It definitely feels like concealer. So we're gonna try to kind of keep going with it. I've got an idea of how I'm gonna be able to balance this out a little bit because I want to film some other stuff. We're just gonna have to see how things go. I gotta move this plant. It doesn't seem like it's in the right place. Okay, is that better? Now it looks more like a plant and not a growth on my head. Okay, and I also gotta fix my lights here. Love this, by the way. This was good for me to compare these two side by side. Say Slip Tint. This is a new one that I purchased recently. This is 3.5, shade 3.5. And I'm going to use this on my more heavily made up, or heavily, what's the word I'm looking for? The side with the heavier concealer. And I'm going to actually use a sponge for this. That's just one pump. And I think when I've used this in the past, I think I've been able to do 2 pumps for my face. And if this doesn't work and I have to remove all of this to film again, I can do that too. I should actually scoot you guys in. Let me scoot you in. Hopefully that's close enough and it doesn't look like I'm in the back of some other room. You're so far away. Okay, this Say Skin Tint is beautiful on the skin. It gives me a little bit of luminosity. It's super, super lightweight. I am using the Touch and Soul No Pore Blem Primer. I don't love this as a pore filling primer, and I can still see that sun damage right there. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. This doesn't say to be any kind of full coverage, medium coverage, any kind of coverage foundation. It's a skin tint, and it feels good on my skin. It feels like a little bit of like a tinted moisturizer. Broad spectrum SPF. I think it says SPF 35 sunscreen tinted moisturizer. That's what it is. It's a tinted moisturizer. So if you're somebody who can get away with a tinted moisturizer and maybe a little tiny bit of concealer, okay. So now I'm gonna to throw everything off because I've got this super light concealer on this side. Lightweight concealer, not light tint, but lightweight concealer on this side. I'm going to go in with the Haus Labs foundation. This one is relatively new to my collection, but I've been using it a lot lately. So I'm going to take a pump of this one on this side. And this is a little bit more of a heavier coverage foundation. And then it says it's a Triclone Skin Tint Foundation. I got mine in shade 210 Light Medium Neutral, and I actually like the shade. The shade match is good. Yeah, you know, it's interesting because I think this Haus Labs foundation is meant to be like part skincare. To me, it feels like foundation. It doesn't feel like it's, you know, skincare that it also has color to it. That would be my, say, tinted moisturizer. All in all, I think the shade match for both is actually not bad. I can just definitely feel like this is a lighter coverage than this one is. Moving on, what else do I have here that's kind of new? I have used this blush palette a couple times. This is the Laura Lee Los Angeles Blush Aesthetic. I should have just been able to read it. I'm going to take this kind of like neutral, sort of mauve-y, pink colored called Caramel Cream. Caramel. Speaking of, I just picked up some caramel dip. My husband's never had, he says he's never had caramel apples before, but I think he's lying. I think he has, and it's just unremarkable to him, which is sad. So I picked up some apple dip, or some apples and some apple dip last night. This blush, I've had to layer in several times to get it to really kind of show up. I did order that Patrick Ta blush palette. I think it's like his second blush palette. I haven't gotten any of Patrick Ta's, either his eyeshadow palettes or his big blush palettes. I do have a couple of his smaller, like single shade blushes. I also ordered the foundation. Every time I've gone into a Sephora, I had a Sephora in the town that I live in, but it was part of a Penny's and now it's gone. So, and I don't have a Kohl's, so I'm not gonna get a Sephora in there. I do have an Ulta in town, but they don't sell some of that stuff. So anyway, when I travel, I haven't been able to find the foundation in the shade that I wanted. And it's kind of expensive. I think it's like $58, $53, something like that. I can tell you that this blush built up better on the Haus Labs side than it did on the Say side. In the Say side, that sounds weird, doesn't it? I can still see the skin damage peeking through. But again, the foundation wasn't as heavy. I'm going to go in with the darker shade in here called Sangria. And we're just going to build this up just a little bit more right on top of... I guess it's good that this Laura Lee palette is kind of sheer, but it is really, really splotchy on my skin. So part of my organization is I'm trying to do some decluttering. And when I mean some decluttering, I'm going to try to keep maybe a third of what I have. So I've got boxes set up over here to the side of me that I'm going to start going through. And I think December is going to be the month where I do a lot of decluttering. So I'll try to have like normal regular content, and then I'll throw up some additional videos of just decluttering. So you'll see like my normal regular stuff Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then you might see, you know, a Tuesday or a Thursday or a Saturday video that'll probably be decluttering video or requests. I don't know that this blush palette's gonna make the grade. I like the oranges in here, like this bright orange and this kind of softer coral. I don't know what this is supposed to be. This says it's bridal pink. That doesn't look like a shade that I can wear on my cheeks at all. I'm just too dark complected for it. This dark shade in here called Sangria is actually not a bad shade. I like to over abuse blush, and I'm gonna powder on the top of it anyway, so it's gonna tone down. But I'm a big blush person. I've always liked blush. I just feel like this is a little splotchy. It looks better on the Haus Lab side, a little bit more of a full coverage foundation. But I feel like I had a margarita last night. That's what I feel like I've had. And I actually did have a margarita last night, the day that I'm filming this. So I'm not getting as much definition and stuff as I would like on my face, but that's self-imposed. I'm a little bit all over the place here. All right, so the jury's out on this blush palette. I grabbed it because as I was looking at my overwhelming large box of blushes that I have to cull down, I was like, well, I don't really remember how this is because I've only used it once. This is kind of like the star of the show. This is the Huda Beauty Empowered palette. Wasn't going to purchase this. I'm on a little bit of a low buy right now until I figure out what I have and what I actually need and what I need to keep. And this particular palette, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, that's a brown palette. And it largely is a brown palette. We do have a couple golds. We have, you know, some more bronzy shades, less copper, more bronze it looks like. We've got this fantastic purple shade down here. We've got some kind of cool grays that I thought are very interesting. And then this palette does have 2 cream formulas that are supposed to be like a liquid liner, not liquid liner, like a cream liner. So that's what we're going to use them as. And then we've got, you know, warms. So I like the fact that we've got warms. We've got a couple cool tones like these 2 right here. I'm going to do a look right now, and I might come back and do 3 looks with this palette too, just in case you were curious about it. I'm not sponsored, affiliated, endorsed, anything like that. I purchased with my own money. I like to look at a palette and go, can I get something that's going to be daytime, maybe even work appropriate, something that's a little bit more like weekend, maybe fun, and then a date night option too. So I've got that in mind, but right now I'm thinking of, I want to play with this, and have I used this palette at all? I think I used this palette one time, and when I look at it, I think this is the only shade that I used. So it might have been a work. I think I picked this up while I was traveling for work, so I suspect that's probably what I had in mind here. Okay, I'm gonna grab a brush and I'm gonna go into, I don't have an eye primer on right now. It's funny because these 2 cream, oh, did I just put my fingernail in it? No, I meant, nope, barely. Okay, these 2 cream shades right now, it's hard, you can't really tell, but when I look at it, I realize they're sweating. There's like beads of moisture on it. I don't have an eyelid primer on. I'm gonna go ahead and leave that off because frankly, I don't know that I'm gonna leave this makeup on when I go to film more stuff. All right, I'm feeling like I need to do something kind of cool toned, and I say that, and I'm gonna go in with this shade right here called Powder, which is not a cool tone. It's a warm tone, but I've been blending some cool tones and warm tones together. I'm kind of liking the way it's looked out. I think I was rubbing on my dogs, and I think I've got a little, I was sick in October. I tested negative for COVID, but I'm not convinced that I didn't have it. I treated myself like I was, like I didn't leave and I stayed away from everybody, which I think is probably, you know, a good idea. If we've learned nothing else from the pandemic or endemic, depending on how you look at it, and all of the stuff that we had to go through in 2020 and 2021, I'm going to say hopefully people learned, if they're sick, to stay home. And hopefully employers learned that it's much better to have, you know, employee who maybe works from home for a day or, you know, gets rest and fluids and stuff like that that they need, even if it means a little bit of disruption to the business, in the hopes that we don't infect everything and everybody and take everybody out of production. That would be bad. Okay, that's a super light shade. I'm gonna go into Big Dreams next, right here. One of the things that I have recently, there's a lot of kick up in that shade. One of the things that I've kind of recently been trying to be cognizant of when I apply makeup, and again, I'm not a makeup artist, okay? You guys should know this by now, but just in case you're new here. Hi, I'm Shelly. I'm not a professional YouTube channel. I'm just a lady of a certain age doing the best she can with what she has, and what I have right now is a very, very big makeup collection, because I'm a collector, not a hoarder, just in case you want to start casting aspersions at me. Anyway, one of the things that I've been trying to play along with lately and really be specific on is the darker the shade, the smaller the brush. So as I'm going darker, I'm actually trying to get a little smaller brush going on. Now, my exception to that rule, I had to think of what the word was here. I've had 2 cups of coffee and a couple Excedrin migraine to knock back my headache from not sleeping last night, and I'm struggling over my words. My exception to that is if I'm in a hurry and I'm trying to cover a large amount of space with just one color, I'll take a big fluffy brush and I'll just go over my whole lid, maybe kind of clean it up a little bit if I need to, slap on some mascara and be out the door. That's kind of either a work from home day or a weekend, you know, when if I have to do any like early morning errands. It's kind of my quick and easy way to, hey, we need to get out the door. Taking a smaller brush, I'm gonna go into the shade Winter, which is this gray color down here. Again, we've got some kick up when I tap into it. So as we're getting into colder months and changing seasons, have you guys changed, as the weather's started to get colder, have you guys changed your color stories of what you're using? Are you using more cool tones? Are you using more warm tones because it evokes something cozy? Or are you going full on vibrant, gorgeous colors because, well, because you can, because you want to, and because you're challenging yourself? Are you going minimalist? It seems like a lot of people are going minimal and have been, especially as, you know, the economy is in a state of flux and as, you know, money gets tight and holidays are coming up and, you know, season of gifting and all that sort of stuff. Are you changing what you're spending your money on? Okay, those grays and browns they're awfully pretty. There's this duochrome called Courageous that's a little purple, a little coppery. And I think I want to use that. This one right here. When I look at it in the mirror, when I look at it in the camera, it's definitely like a bright purple. But on my finger, when I'm looking at it, it's more of a bronze shade. I don't know how to describe it. Really pretty. And it's covering up the patchiness that I got a little bit of with those matte. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Switch fingers here. Do the other side here. Yeah, it's different where I look in the mirror and whether or not it's picking up more of the purple, kind of the gold fleck, little bronzy undertone. It's pretty and it's working well for kind of like the super dark smoky look, which is not really my favorite because I do have close set hooded eyes. So I'm always a little bit concerned if I do too much dark on my eyes that I'm making them look even smaller. When I first started filming this video, my eyes were feeling very, very tiny. I'm hoping by the time I get all this done, I'll have things balanced out a little bit. That's the goal we're going for here. I think I want to use this shade right here called Big Dreams that I used pretty much as my transition shade, and I'm going to take a little bit of it down here just so that we can balance out the smokiness a little bit. Man, I still sound congested, don't I? So I'd love to know whether or not you guys thought about picking up this palette or if it was just kind of not because when I first looked at it, I'm like, I feel like I have browns, and then I saw it in person and I'm like, okay, it's actually kind of pretty. Might be able to use this for work, might be able to use it for home. Okay, I'm going to go into this dark black cream liner called Purpose, a little angled flat brush. If I recall, I heard that this was kind of a softer brown, or softer black, I mean, not something that was super harsh. I would call it not super opaque, but completely adequate. I feel like this would be a good shade, and I haven't tested this out. I feel like this would be a good shade that if you're gonna do, like, I don't know, I think Natasha Denona does this quite a bit, where she puts down like a gel liner and then goes over the top of it with a powder and kind of smudges it out. I feel like this would be a good type of formula to do that with, because it feels like there's enough stick to it that you could get a powder to stick on the top of it. That's kind of pretty. I don't know where my color switch went to. I think it fell. So I'm gonna just use a cotton round to clean off this brush. I'm gonna take the brown cream gel liner called Worthy. I'm gonna grab a little of that and smudge this down here too. I didn't mean to do a dark smoky look, but I think that that's one of the things that really draws me to. This is definitely a look I would do maybe for date night. Definitely something that I would do just because it seems like it's a normal a normal look for me. I'm gonna take this weird shade right here in the middle that looks like it, no sorry, this one right here, looks like it has like a embossed divot in it. I'm taking a little pointed pencil brush. It's called Manifest It. I'm gonna use that for my inner corner. Again, it's a little, I'd almost call this probably the most coppery shade in this palette. This palette doesn't really give me what I would consider a true inner corner highlight. I usually look for things like maybe a matte almond, but there are a couple shades in here that are light. I still feel like I've got a little bit of a bag right there for my under eyes. I didn't go in and set it right away after I applied the concealer. I maybe should have done that. Okay, if you guys want me to come back in and do 3 looks with it, oh my gosh, I just watched my forehead with that finger here. If you guys want me to come back in and do 3 looks with this eyeshadow palette, stick around. I probably will, because I'm anxious to play with some of the other colors. I think there's some interesting color combinations here, but this kind of might give you an idea of the formula. I usually don't have a problem with Huda formulas. Jury's out on whether or not this is going to be one of my favorite palettes that she's ever done. I think there are others. The one that really surprised me, frankly, is the Rose Quartz palette. Do I have that handy here? I think it's in the other room. I think Rose Quartz was one of my favorite palettes that she's done. She's got a couple other ones, but I feel like that one's my favorite. Okay, so I've got 2 mascaras that I want to use. I want to try them out side by side. This one's the Tower 28 one. That's what it, sorry. This is the Tower 28 one. The brush is like a firm, short bristle brush, which means that I feel like it pulls out clumps very well. I also feel like this mascara has been building pretty well for me, meaning that if I keep going over it, I can get the length, the volume, and the separation, which are things that I very much so enjoy about good mascaras. So I'm glad I picked this up. This has been a recommended one from a lot of content creators for a while. So when I picked up a few other things at a Sephora that I was traveling to, I think this was one that kind of jumped into my cart. It leapt. Sometimes when I'm not sure how a mascara is going to do under my eyes, after I put on a coat, I'll run my finger lightly over the bottom lashes just to make sure that I pick up any extra. So I have a little splotch on my finger from when I just did that. I don't think I've ever done that on camera before. Okay, the other one that I think has been super highly rated is it's called highly rated. This is the Milani Anti-Gravity Mascara. I think when I looked for this one has a little bit more of a hourglass shaped, but again, short plastic bristles. When I've gone in to find it, I've either haven't been able to get my hands on it or they've been sold out. So I actually ordered 2 of these from Amazon. I think they were like $8 a piece maybe. All right, already out of the top, out of the gate, I've got some clumping going on with this one that I didn't have with the Tower 28. I'm gonna attribute that mostly to the brush. However, I feel like this particular formula is a little thicker. So now I've already got it on my lids too as I keep trying to go over it. I've got some thickness here. I'm just gonna see if I can't get some of the extra off of this before I go back in. I feel like I'm getting the same kind of look. It's just taking a lot more effort to get it on this eye than it is on this eye. But overall, I feel like the length of the lashes, the thickness of the lashes is looking pretty similar right now. Let's do the same trick. We'll put a little bit on, quick swipe, and then I'll make sure to off extra. All right, aside from a little spot on my lid, which I almost can't see, and I've got some transfer down below on this side. All right, all in all, they actually look pretty similar. I'm gonna say that the mascara is fine. Obviously, I've got the same eyeshadow on both eyes, which helps quite a bit. I've got some creasing around my nose from that heavier Hourglass concealer. Overall, I don't know that you could tell that I've got one foundation versus the other. Okay, this is a powder that this is the CoverGirl Advanced Radiance Powder. I've heard a lot of people rave about this. I picked it up, been trying it. I'm just gonna grab some with a big fluffy brush here, and let's see if we can't tone down some of the craziness of the blush, because you know that's how I roll with my blush, is I tend to go a little bit overboard and then try to take it down a little bit. Probably not the professional makeup artist way of doing it, but it's been working for me for a very long time. I think part of it is building up the blush so that it doesn't look splotchy, and then taking down the shade to where you need it to be. See, I feel like I've got this line right here from the blush, and then I feel like I've got a little splotchiness right here. I think I'm in love with that palette, you guys. That's sad because, you know, I bought it and I wanted it to be good. Okay, I picked up a couple of Gwen Stefani's products. One of these is an over lip liner. What is it called? Pout to Get Real Overlining Lip Pencil. It is the weirdest shape. I don't know if you guys can really even see this here, but it's got it's like at an angle, but then you see the product on one side, but if you flip it over, you don't have it on the other. I don't really know how to apply this aside from just kind of going in. It's weird that it's not any kind of point teardropped. I don't know. This one's, what shade did I get? This one is called Do Whatever. And since it's an overlining lip liner, I'm just gonna overline by a little. My lips are feeling a little dry right now. I probably should have, you know, put a mask on. Okay, and then I did pick up one of her lipsticks, and this one's in Screen My Phone Calls. Kind of like the references to her old album, her old song. And despite being a little congested, I can actually smell it. And it has a good flavor. It is or good scent. It's a matte. It actually feels very emollient on my skin. So this is today's makeup. Probably a little smokier and a little darker than I needed to go, but I was excited to play with some new stuff, and it's been a while since I've sat down and actually taken the time to do, you know, just kind of a chit chat makeup application. Although you might not realize that because I do film, I pre-film quite a bit, and then I edit while I'm traveling, and then I pre-post so that I get content to you guys on a regular basis. Monday, Wednesday, Wednesday, Friday. It is not my regular job. It's not my real job. In fact, I don't get paid to do this. I don't have enough subscribers to even to have it be a monetized channel. But I love each and every one of you guys for hanging out with me. If you know anybody who might, you know, benefit from just application videos and chit chats and maybe connecting with someone else who's either the same age or a mom figure or whatever else, I would love to hang out with you guys. So feel free to leave me a comment down below. Tell me, were you interested in this palette at all? Did you skip it? Do you want me to come back and do multiple looks with it? Would that make a difference in your purchasing decisions? The other question that I asked earlier is, are you guys doing more warm tones, more cool tones? Are you mixing it up? Are you being more colorful? I would love to know what your guys' habits are turning out to be this time of year. So if you would like to, feel free to sound off down below. Otherwise, hit the subscribe button. It's free to do. It doesn't cost you guys anything to subscribe to the channel. That way you guys can, you know, see when I do post. You could also ring the bell to get notified when I do upload Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. Sometimes there's extra videos. I gotta figure out why I have this headache. I did Excedrin. I've done an espresso and a cup of coffee, and I did some of those, the peppermint oil, I think, and I'm just congested, so I feel like I need a nap. All right, you guys, I hope you guys are doing really well. Enjoy making dinner if that's your time, and until my next video, bye for now.